A quorum is present. I will now call this meeting to order. It is 5:25 p.m. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today. I will now turn the floor over to Mr. Harold Sonny Fletcher III, Senior Director for Facility Planning and Construction, who will discuss facilities report and long-range planning for the district.
Thank you, President Stevens, Dr. Moore, and Cabinet. Real quick, we're going to talk about facility planning. I've got some numbers. I promise to make it as interesting as we can. I know the numbers are and live. Can I turn on the mic? Is that the gray button? Ah, bet you can hear me much better now. Okay. There we go. In long-range planning, the top considerations, as you can see up there, obviously, is you do a facility condition index, a facility condition assessment. That leads you to an index. And then also look at the educational equity. Some call that the educational adequacy of a facility. What educational programs maybe change or need to be added at a campus. Student enrollment projections. And then, of course, in this day and age, safety and security of a campus. What we're going to focus on here is just the facility condition assessment in that index. In that assessment, it led to, there's just some brief numbers, but 22% of our schools are over 50 years old in Galena Park ISD. 1 in 5, or just over 1 in 5, right? We have, you can see up there, 162 million in current repairs, 689 million in long-range 10-year need of repairs, facility needs. As that index, you look at the red would be, of course, 65% or higher. That would say if the value of the building, let's pick easy numbers, were $100 million, it would take 65 million or more in repairs to get that building up and repaired. So that would lead you to 65%. And when a building gets to the 50 to 65% range, that's where you really start looking at that facility. What's our long-range plan for that particular building? And what are the needs? How do we address the needs? And do we need to think different than repairs? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then here's all of our facilities here in Galena Park ISD. We've got a lot of green ones, which is great because that means we're doing a great job keeping our facilities in good repair. But then 2028, 5 years away, we get a lot of red ones, a couple of orange ones. And then by 2033, with all that maintenance as it builds up, you think about the systems, the HVAC systems, the roofs, all those type of things. It builds up with a lot of needs. But let's look at just the top ones and look at these and our needs here at these facilities. So these would be the ones, the top needs that were in the red or the orange, that it's time to start taking a look at those. And these essentially fall into two categories. So as I think, I'm just going to pick Havard. As you think about Havard Elementary, we all think of, oh, that's a pretty new building. But that was built in 1997, the original part of Havard. So you've got some systems. Imagine a 1997 car. You've got some systems that it's time to, and maybe that car needs some repairs, needs some things done to it. So that would be the one category, is a building that we all would think of as new, but it's got a lot of systems that need some help. The chillers, the boilers, those kind of things. And then we fall into another one, Cimarron right there at the top of the list, and it's a little bit older sibling, Galena Park High School. Those are 70 years old, essentially. So,
Yeah.
So that facility you see, and as it shows up there, 101% in 10 years or 114, you see those numbers. That tells you that that building has a lot of needs that need to get addressed very quickly. And you think about repairing a car, right? Doing all the individual repairs is much more expensive than buying a new car. So that's when you look at that building and decide what its needs are and what is our plan long-term for that building. So if it's a newer building, right, you repair it. You give it the chiller, you put a new roof on it, those type of things. Does that make sense? So as we look at it and forecast it, that leads us, management in the district, to see we need to put together a committee. So let's put together a committee, look for a plan, develop a plan on how we move these projects forward and get these needs addressed in the next 5 to 10 years. Any questions?
Hey, Sonny, can you go back to that other screen where you had, yeah, that's the one. When you go over the one for Galena Park High School, it's in the red each time. So can you just explain that to me?
Yes, ma'am. It would be, because it is 70 years old, the facility just has a lot of needs. We hired Stanton Engineering to go do an assessment of the facility, a much more detailed assessment, so we're aware of much more needs in the plumbing systems in that building. So that's what's put it up a little higher today. And it just has a lot of systems and needs that, although we've put a roof on it and we've done some chiller work, it still just has a lot of other needs in that facility.
Are we going to be able to work on some of that this year since it's 2023 to kind of bring it up from red to another color?
The addition that's currently under construction will certainly help, because then you could move classrooms and make some adjustments. So yes, ma'am, can do some things like that. And we could look at some of our savings we've had on some projects and maybe excellent idea to do a few things right now.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you go to back to the other screen, after that one?
That one? Mr.
Yeah.
Carson?
On that one, Sonny, I just, like, if you look at Green Valley in 2023, it's in the green.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to red, right?
Yes.
And then you look at North Shore Middle, it's in the yellow already, and then it goes to orange before it goes to why?
Yes. Well, in the previous bond, we had done, I think it was about 3 years ago, we did a design build project and almost renovated completely the heating and air conditioning system. I should say air conditioning here in Houston first.
Okay.
We renovated the air conditioning system. The roof's in good shape there
Okay.
at Green Valley. Where North Shore Middle School, we've got a lot of systems that are aging out right at the same time. And the last bond, we didn't have those chiller projects.
Okay.
Those kind of things in the last bond.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask you to go forward. I'm sorry, back. Yeah,
That one?
more. Okay, that one.
Mhm.
Explain the slide to me just one more time, the red, the orange, the
Sure.
yellow.
So go back to the example of the $100 million building. So if that building needed $30 million in repairs today, it would, well, let's make it easy. Let's go 29 million. It would be green of that $100 million building. So you compare the cost of a new building to the needs to the repair needs that facility has of its major systems. So then to get to yellow, it would be, an example, 45 million.
Okay.
Would get you yellow, and then orange would be 55 million, which would then be 55% of the cost to replace the building. That's
North Shore 9, is that a standalone? It doesn't have anything to do with those?
yes, ma'am. Look at it as a separate facility. Yes, ma'am.
And we've done a lot of renovations to it?
To North Shore ninth grade.
Because I see it
We've
down.
done some, but it's there on the list of, just
In
under
the
halfway
green.
down. It's got a lot of needs it has.
Yeah.
And its chillers are, that's the one I'm immediately familiar with. Its chillers are aging out. Yep. And its windows, there's a lot of other needs there at North Shore ninth grade. We just put a new roof on it, is what helped improve it. So, yes, ma'am. Okay. Excellent questions, thank you all.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Fletcher. I will now turn the floor over to Dr. Sonia Nizey, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Superintendent for Operational Support, who will present a budget workshop.
Good evening. So I think I have a few minutes to get through this information with you. So first, we're going to take a look back at what's occurring now for 22-23 compared to what the board adopted originally in the budget for this year. We're going to talk a little bit about the 88th legislative session, also then look forward to our 23-24 budget assumptions, and then talk about next steps. So when we talk about 22-23 budget versus actuals, the update on where we're at currently, probably the most significant changes here is that, first of all, I want to remind everybody that the current year budget, we have approximately $11 to $12 million in cost that are being absorbed by our ESSER funds. So when we go back and we look at the general fund, it's assuming what the ESSER funds are assisting us with that would normally be taken care of in our general fund. We are seeing positive revenue estimates now. And the biggest reason, it's not because that we've had an increase in our average daily attendance. As a matter of fact, it's slightly lower than what we originally projected. And then property values are also slightly lower than the original projections. But what we have seen is a huge increase in interest rates. And we do have a large fund balance, and so that money, we have had a diligent investment program this past year, and so we have about $6.5 million more in interest earnings this year than what we would have had in previous fiscal years. I was looking back a year ago, our interest rates we were earning was 0.22. We're over 5% now, so we've had huge increase on interest rates. We've also had some savings in our compensation budget. That primarily is because of openings and vacancies that have occurred through the year. So if we reflect back, we look at what we budgeted for 22-23. We originally thought we would have a $6.8 million deficit. Now we're basically at a break-even standpoint. So the estimates are we might end up with a very, very small surplus, but it's very close to break even. And again, just being mindful that we do have a lot of costs that are being absorbed by ESSER funds for now. So on the 88th legislative session, it's a very interesting session, as they always are, but this one we have historic revenues that are available at the state level, but because there are spending limits that are in place, it's going to impede the state's ability to allow school districts to access those funds. We have a lot of competing issues: property tax relief, increase in basic allotment on state funding, school safety, voucher programs, teacher compensation is another hot topic, as well as parental rights. So there have been a very large number of bills. It's reached record levels, the number of bills that have been filed. So what does that mean for us? So we've really looked a lot about what does it mean for us as far as adopting a compensation plan for the district. And under current law, under House Bill 3, if there's any adjustments in the basic allotment, 30% of the new funds must be used towards non-administrative pay increases, with 75% of that specifically for teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses. However, we do have proposed legislation under House Bill 100 where that calculation methodology would change, and instead of it being a 30% requirement, that increases up to 50%. So again, we're still several weeks away from the end of the legislative session, so we're not quite sure how this is going to work out, or if it will. So we don't know if we're going to have a change or not. We have also had a delay in setting our TRS active care rates. That's the insurance program that our employees participate in through the teacher retirement system. The TRS board was slated to vote on this at the end of April, and the day of the meeting it was announced that action would be delayed. And really what's going on is that we have two proposals in the budget for the state. And under the House version, there is some significant increase in funding for TRS active care. And the Senate also has an increase, but just not as much money. And really what they're looking at is they're not going to be able to stop at the rate increases, but they're trying to limit them. Under the House proposal, it's no more than 5% increase. Under the Senate version, it's no more than a 10% increase. They have set a date, May 30th, that they will reconsider those rates, and so we will need that information at that point because we do open enrollment in the summer. All right, on state aid, really, you know, we use a number of tools to try to help us estimate revenue, and it's very difficult in the legislative year. So far, the only bill that we've seen that we have enough information that we can model is from House Bill 100. So we've used, again, our own internal tools, and then we use Mo Casey and TASBO to run models. If you look at those two modeling tools, currently House Bill 100 only generates an additional $2.7 million if you use the TASBO model, or $3.8 million if you use the Mo Casey model. So if we just go and we say, let's use the Mo Casey model, it's the higher amount of money for us. There are some specific purposes in legislation that part of that money would have to be dedicated to. And then if we keep in mind this 50% requirement on compensation, we really only have about $1.5 million remaining to address any inflationary factors that we have to deal with. Also, I just want to mention property tax legislation. Both House and Senate version do have relief for property taxes. The House version is mainly through a continued compression of the maintenance and operations rate, and also lowering the appraisal cap for all property tax categories. And then on the Senate, they're looking more at implementation of a homestead exemption. Really, the truth is that the compression, it's revenue neutral for school districts, so the more that they compress the local tax rate, then they will increase the amount of state aid that we receive. So currently, the way the bills are structured, it would just offset. So now I'm going to tell you what we do know, which isn't a lot that we're sure of, but we did receive last week certified estimated property values from Harris County Appraisal District. They're required to provide that to us, information to us in April of each year. They've given us 11.9 million. We're currently at 11.3. So this is about a 5.5% increase that they're estimating at this point. Again, variances here are not going to change our overall revenue for maintenance and operations. It does change the amount of revenue that we have for debt service. And we will get updated values from them again if the provisions of House Bill 3 stay in place, and then we will get updated information by July 25th. So the other thing that we've been doing is working on compensation modeling. We use TASB HR services to assist us with this. So far, we've modeled 3 different pay increases: a 1% general pay increase, 2% and 3%. And this is for all staff, but option 1 for teachers, they would gain $650. Option 2 is $1,350 for returning teachers, and then $2,000 under the Model 3, the Option 3 at 3%. And you can see the cost estimates that are here in the last column range from 2.2 to 5.5 million. One thing I do want to note on here is if you recall, I told you a second ago, we had talked about this 30% and this 50% that has to be dedicated to compensation. For the teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses. We're not sure that option 1 gets us there if we are required to go with the 50% under House Bill 3. So we may have to go with an option 2, at least for those categories of employees. Okay, so our early budget assumptions, again, we were required to provide TEA with an estimated average daily attendance for 23-24 that's required every legislative cycle. So we gave them, we again use tools that are provided to us to model these. So we have an ADA of 19,116, the property value estimate that's been given to us from HCAD, and then also our minimum requirements for technology, fleet upgrades, and then you can see the compensation range. We've also been working diligently on identifying positions that we could reduce through attrition. And so far to date, we've come up with $1 million in positions that we could do that with. So our revenue estimates here, and again, we're using the Moat Casey model. That's the model that shows the most increase for Galena Park, and then we've also included a larger increase for our local revenue for the interest earnings. So total revenue of 243.7. If you see the three different scenarios, the 1%, 2%, or 3% of general pay increase, the deficit with the 1% would be about $5 million, and then using the option 3, it would be $8 million. And then, and we pulled compensation down a total of about $3 million in these two scenarios before we incorporated the increase. Just as a reminder, we are still receiving and taking advantage of the ESSER funding. So ESSER 2 will be ending in September 2023. And then we will have ESSER 3, which then goes through September of 2024. And again, right now, you can see we've listed here the different initiatives and projects that have been paid for, being used for using the ESSER funding. And again, it's assisting us with our general fund by about $11 to $12 million a year at this point. So our next steps, we'll have another budget workshop in June. We're hoping at that point, we know we'll have the active care premiums. We traditionally adopt a compensation plan at our June meeting, and that's typically been the latest time that we would approve our general pay increase. And then in August, we come back with a final budget workshop, have the final budget adoption at August 22nd board meeting, and then the tax rate is not adopted later until October. So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. That's lots of information.
Sorry.
I have a lot, but I think.
Really fast.
I have a couple, but I think I'm gonna wait till we go to the other, to the June or July, because I think we're still
Okay.
waiting on a lot of
We
figures.
are, we're
and-
waiting on a lot of information, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nicey. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 5:47. A quorum is present. I will now call this meeting to order. An executive session of the board will now be held on the matters contained in the notice for this meeting as authorized by Section 551.001 through Section 551.084 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Opens Meetings Act. Should the board determine that any final action, final decision, or final vote be required with regard to any matter considered in such closed or executive meeting or session, then such final action, final decision, or final vote shall be at either this public meeting upon the reconvening of this public meeting, or at a subsequent public meeting of the board upon notice thereof, as the board shall determine. A closed or executive meeting of the board will now be held. The time is 5:48 p.m. Session is adjourned. The board is now in open session. The time is 5:59 p.m. I will entertain motions on the items covered in executive session. Is there a motion to approve the proposed termination of Catherine Wilder probationary contract for the best interest of the district and authorize the superintendent or his designee to notify the employee of the proposed action?
I, Linda Sherrod, move we approve the proposed termination of Catherine Wilder probationary contract as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
The motion was made by Linda Sherrod and seconded by Norma Hernandez. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with 0 abstentions. Is there a motion to approve the list of Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations beginning in 2023 to 2024 and authorize the Executive Director for Human Resource Services to notify the related employees of the contract recommendations?
I, Wanda Johnson, move we approve the list of Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations as presented.
Here, Mike.
Ramon Garza second the motion.
A motion was made by Wanda Johnson and seconded by Ramon Garza. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with 0 abstentions. Is there a motion to approve the list of non-Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations beginning in 2023 through 2024 and authorize the Executive Director for Human Resource Services to notify the related employees of the contract recommendations?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the list of non-Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations as presented.
I, Wanda Johnson, second the motion.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and seconded by Wanda Johnson. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with 0 abstentions. The meeting will it is 6 p.m. We will go forward. All right. The Board of Trustees of Galena Park Independent School District is now convened in a regular meeting on Monday, May 8th, 2023, in the Administration Building of Galena Park Independent School District, the address of which is 14705 Wood Forest Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77015. The time is 6:02 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Galena Park ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the district to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In this event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by Section 551.071 to 551.084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Galena Park Independent School District. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today. We have no public comments for non-agenda items today. Tonight's invocation will be presented by myself, Adrian Stevens. The pledges to the American and Texas flags will be led by the Cobb 6th grade campus LOTC Color Guard. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags. Heavenly Father, we come to you today giving all praise and honor to you. We thank you for keeping our students, teachers, and staff safe on a daily basis. We come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to make the right decisions for our students, teachers, community, and our district as a whole. Lord, we ask for grace when making these decisions. In your Son's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, one state under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. We will now move on to this evening's special recognition portion of the agenda. Dr. Moore.
All right, welcome everybody. It's great to see everybody. We're starting to actually get a crowd again in the boardroom. It's been a long time, like 3 years, and we're starting to have people show up. And wore my Astros tie for you tonight. Hope you get a win. So we'll get on with the show. Once again, thanks for being here.
Good evening. We would like to begin this evening's recognitions by showing appreciation to Airgas for their generous donation to Galena Park High School's welding class. Airgas is represented by Marcelo Feistar, East Texas Area Vice President, and Pedro Gonzalez, an account manager for Airgas. Joining us also to say thank you are Galena Park High School Principal Dr. Martin, welding instructors Marco Rodriguez and Roberto Torres. With more than 900 retail locations, Airgas is the leading single-source supplier of gases, welding equipment, and safety products. Thank you to Airgas for your partnership and for investing in the future of our students. Next, we'd like to recognize Ms. Sherry Kaufman, North Shore Middle School librarian, and Trinidad Contreras, North Shore Middle School teacher, for being awarded the Texas Library Association 2023 Wayne Williams Library Project of the Year Award. Also joining them is Dr. Eckford, the campus principal. Ms. Kaufman's project, La Noche de Cuentos, facilitated family literacy, sparked student interest, and increased reading engagement. Thank you, Ms. Kaufman and Ms. Contreras, for reminding GPISD families that reading can be fun and engaging. Galena Park ISD recognizes Scott Mary, the University Interscholastic League District Academic Meet Director. Would his team please join him on stage? Mr. Mary is being recognized for his meticulous organization and facilitation of the March 24th academic meet at North Shore Senior High School. Also thanking Mr. Mary is his team from North Shore Senior High School. The 21-6A Academic District Meet included hosting 8 schools and 22 events at North Shore Senior High. Such an undertaking required nearly 7 months of preparation and countless hours of coordination. Thank you, Mr. Mary. We truly appreciate you. They're coming. Congratulations, Mr. Mary. Galena Park ISD recognizes North Shore Senior High School robotics students. William Felton, Ricardo Guerrero Jr., Omar Herrera, Joshua Martinez, Caterino Medina Jr., Daniel Medina, and David Padeda, Jr. Will their teacher and administrators please join them on stage? These North Shore Senior High School students are certified by the Federal Aviation Administration, and they have already entered the aviation workforce. By becoming certified drone pilots, these robotics students have demonstrated their commitment to excellence and their ability to enter the workforce across multiple industries. Congratulations on this incredible milestone. Continue to soar to new heights. And thank you to their instructor, Mr. Brian Greer. That's awesome, drone pilots. Next, Galena Park ISD recognizes Madeline Trevino for being a national medalist in the 2023 Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. Madeline is supported this evening by her principal, Dr. Kim Martin, and her instructor, Mr. Antonio Hurtado. Madeline received an exceptional rating for her painting titled What They See. Out of 100,000 student entries, Madeline is among less than 2,000 students who were awarded. Madeline, Galena Park ISD is proud of you. Congratulations. Next, Galena Park ISD also recognizes Victoria Tovar for being named a 2023 Scholastic Award National winner. Victoria is supported this evening by Dr. Martin and her instructor, Ms. Kendra Walker. Victoria's writing portfolio, Introspection, was rated exceptional by the Alliance for Young Artists and Writers. Victoria is now part of a legacy that has been celebrating teen artists and writers throughout the country since 1923. Galena Park ISD is excited about Victoria's recognition, and we are so proud of her. Finally, this evening, Galena Park ISD recognizes the 6A High School Calculator team from North Shore Senior High School for winning first place in their division and earning additional individual awards at the 2023 Texas Math and Science Coaches Association High School State Meet on March 18th. The first place team members included Diana DeLosa. Diana placed first in high school calculator. Hiromi Islas, Zachary Mann, Hiromi placed fifth in calculator. Zachary placed second in calculator. And hold on to your seats. Last but not least, Mr. Jace. Would their coach, Mr. Don Kirby, and their administrator please join them on stage? Jace placed first in high school calculator 9th grade, third in high school number sense 9th grade, fourth in high school mathematics 9th grade, and 7th place in high school science 9th grade. These outstanding team members are amazing. Great job and congratulations.
Okay. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this time. Does anyone have a comment?
I just want to I just want to congratulate the class of 2023, and as our seniors get ready to walk through the stage, you know, this is just another journey that they'll be embarking on. So I want to wish them safe summer, a happy summer, and you know, you can do whatever you want to do. You just got to put your mind to it. So have a safe summer, all the students, but especially the class of 2023, and we wish you the best.
Madam President, I was trying to sit on my hands and not say something, but kudos to these young people. We have great things going on the east side in Galena Park ISD. Job well done.
I second that. You all make our jobs worth it, from things like drone pilots and painters and the calculator team and the Scholastic Awards. It really makes our job worth it. We are so proud of you, and just keep it up. Thank you. We now come to the business portion of tonight's meeting. We invite and encourage you to stay for the remainder of the meeting. However, if you need to leave early, we understand. This is a convenient time to do so. We appreciate your attendance, and please come again. Harold Sonny Fletcher III, Senior Director for Facilities Planning and Construction, will now give a 2016 bond program construction update.
Good evening, President Stevens, Board, Dr. Moore, and Cabinet. Maybe a little more interesting than numbers. I will talk about Vibrant. The old building is now demolished. There you see the soil and that's called a sheep's foot, the big piece of equipment in the left window, getting it compacted and ready to go to build phase 2 for that building. Mr. Esparza's many times asks me about construction schedule. We had some challenges with all the utilities the contractor had challenges getting utilities off. I'm not the happiest with where that construction is, but we'll be making up the time with them. He usually asks me about schedule, so I wanted to cover that. I love that picture on the right. That's why I included that one. That was taken a couple weeks ago by Barbara Reed, the project manager. with the sunrise right over the academic there at the Fine Arts Building. That's the structural steel going up. I believe I promised that last month, and here it was on Thursday. So really excited to see the structural steel going up there at Galena Park High School Phase 2. And then we have some, Dr. Neise talked in her report about the ESSER projects. Here's some indoor air quality improvements. Those are new air handlers we installed over the weekend, a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, coming soon, a lot of ESSER projects this summer. Got a busy summer ahead from the department. Yeah. Thank you. And any questions?
No, I just want to say thanks for all your hard work, and especially at Galena Park High, because nobody at the church has asked me anything for the last couple of weeks, so I won't be asking you nothing until, but no, it's really coming out good, so that I think everybody's happy where it's, and hopefully they keep making progress.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. We will now move on to new business. Is there a motion to approve the renewal of property, windstorm, terrorism insurance for the period of June 1st, 2023 through June 1st, 2024 from McGriff Insurance Services, Inc. via National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance contract number 09-08 for the premium amount of $3,490,001.
Wanda Johnson move we approve the renewal of property windstorm terrorism insurance is presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
A motion was made by Wanda Johnson and seconded by Norma Hernandez. All in favor? The motion carried 4-0 with 1 abstention. With respect to the general consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the general consent agenda as presented.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and seconded by Linda Sherrard. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with 0 abstentions. With respect to the construction consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take agenda as is?
I, Ramon Garza, move we approve the construction consent agenda as presented.
Wanda Johnson second the motion.
A motion was made by Ramon Garza and seconded by Wanda Johnson. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with 0 abstentions. With respect to the financial consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the financial consent agenda as presented.
Wanda Johnson second the motion.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and seconded by Wanda Johnson. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with 0 abstentions. The following documents were presented to the board for information. Dr. Sonia Neise, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Superintendent for the Operational Support, presented donation report for April 2023, tax collection report for March 2023, 2016 bond report, bond program financial report as of March 31st, 2023, quarterly investment report for the period of December 1st, 2022 through February 28th, 2023. Mrs. Elizabeth Layler, Deputy Superintendent for Educational Support and School Administration, presented Early Head Start 2022 through 2023 Self-Assessment and Action Plan, Early Head Start Policy Council meeting minutes from March 2023, Early Head Start Update and Fund 205 expenditure report summary from March 2023. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:23 p.m.